Lots of he said.
Hey.
Hey.
Between Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin and sort of how that story has gone.
The social media stuff, or literally between Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin?
How much of the social media stuff is real? Like the pictures, the screenshots. I can't trust anything now because I don't know who's
AI or it's weird. You're right. Like I'm desensitized to what's real and what isn't.
Yeah, AI's kind of spoiled it for everybody.
Kind of messed it up.
So,
what do you mean desensitized?
Well, like you used to have sensitivities to certain content. Well, I used to have sensitivities to certain content.
I've seen some of your content.
I mean, that's not my content. I mean, I make great content, actually, the content that I make.
Content you showed me, I've seen, yeah.
Nah, that's not content I've made. I've shared it. And I don't know if it's real or if it's AI, to be honest.
And I started it.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm just saying. I don't know what's real and what's fake, so I'm not sensitive to real versus fake anymore. It's just kind of like if it's not super relevant, like if we're not talking about like a world war starting or something like that, I don't really generally invest too much emotion into or time or thought into the post. I mean, I like to keep it simple. Like those are mountains. I would climb them and then I would come back down them. Like that's generally like, kind of how simple I keep it.
By the way, defensive Lane Kiffin or Joey Freshwater,
you didn't catch that.
Whatever he's calling,
you didn't catch that.
Whatever he's calling himself when he goes out. Listen, he's not a married guy. Do whatever he wants. So if he wants to go out and send messages, if these are true and these messages are real to women,
so what?
Yeah.
I mean, is he breaking the law?
No.
Are they minors?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you're just assuming?
Yeah,
I mean, you can be a minor in college.
Well,
there are 17-year-olds in college.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case, but
I mean, and is it appropriate for an adult and an official, which I think would be more of the question here, if all of this is true, is the conduct detrimental to the university? Is the conduct inappropriate? Would it be perceived as inappropriate conduct? And I think that's more or less, to me, what comes to mind. Like this coming out is trying to, well, it sounds or seems as though it's like diminishing who he is. It's an attempt to diminish who he is or villainize who he is through this way of doing it. But I don't know. In this day and age, I mean, they probably make him a hero if he was going.
Guys,
if
he sounds like a scumbag. Let's be honest.
He does. He does.
Call what it is. He's talking to these like 20-year-old women.
Okay.
He knows they have boyfriends and he's like still doing it anyway. So it comes off as him being scummy. And how old is he? And he's messing with college girls. I mean, I don't know. He looks like Daniel Tosh from Tosh.0.
Dang.
He lied about the majority of how all this went down in regards to the team wanting him to coach in the bowl game and him wanting to coach the team and all that stuff. There's back and forth. It is what it is.
I mean, clearly coaches have infatuations with younger people these days. Right. I mean, Bill Belichick is the poster child, the poster man of going at a younger chick.
Live and let live, brother.
Yeah, he's with the poster child.
Yeah. I'm just saying he ended up with the poster child, but how many children were there before that child? We don't know. It didn't come out.
Pablo Torres on that one. That'll be his next deep dive, I'm sure he'll come up with. Now, as far as the subject of Lane Kiffin's departure from Ole Miss, Keith Carter, the athletic director there at Ole Miss, was on Super Talk Mississippi, okay? And he was discussing the departure and sort of some of the stories that Lane Kiffin has told about wanting to stay on with the team and coach them in the playoff. Let's take a listen.
When was Lane Kiffin told that he would not coach Ole Miss in the playoff? Because he very publicly has said over and over that that is something that he wanted to do and didn't seem to be able to understand why that wasn't going to work.
Yeah, there's been a lot of things he said publicly that I'm not sure are totally accurate. I think that both coach and his representation knew, several weeks ago that the coaching in the playoffs was not going to be an option if he was not the Ole Miss head coach. And, I think
him finding out at 8:30 on Sunday morning for the very first time that he would not be coaching the playoff is not accurate?
No, that's not accurate. That's not accurate. The only thing that was a little bit of a wrinkle in it, Richard, was the fact that if Auburn had beaten Alabama, we were going to play in the SEC championship. That threw a little wrinkle in it. Not to say he would have coached in that game, but with the shorter time period, that was maybe the only little nuance to it. But absolutely, it was very clear that coaching in the postseason was not going to be an option for Coach Kiffin a few weeks ago.
So
yeah, but not being an option because of him because of the decision by the AD. He didn't. That wasn't clear in the soundbite.
Well, no, Keith Carter, the AD, who's speaking there, it was his decision.
Right. Okay.
I mean, that's what he's essentially saying.
Right. Okay.
There's two things about this. One, I do know too much about this, and I will say this: it was painted out to Lane Kiffin that he would not be able to coach at Ole Miss if he decided to go somewhere else. However, Lane continued to keep trying to make the case to Ole Miss that he wanted to continue to coach them. So there was that. Now, what the lie was is that the players, once he announced he was going to LSU, wanted him to coach in the playoff. That was the lie. I don't know that every player felt that way. Maybe there were some that wanted him to. Maybe there's some who were indifferent. I mean, it's going to be interesting after the playoffs and after the season, whenever it ends for Ole Miss, how many join him at LSU. But I do know that not all the players wanted him to coach. There were some who were hurt about it. Keith Carter did take a stance. If you're not going to be here, you can't coach here. And Lane was trying to, as I've said before, have his cake and eat it too. And by the way, there's multiple coaches who fall in this category. If Duke beats UVA, the door opens up for James Madison to get into the college football playoff. Bob Chesney is now going to be the head coach at UCLA. He's going to be still allowed to coach JMU. I already painted out pictures too about John Summerall, who's going to Florida but at Tulane right now. They win the AAC, they'll probably be the highest ranked group of 6 team. And by the way, they'll get in over Duke because they beat them head to head. So if you start going through the scenarios, there's a good chance there's other coaches who have decided to coach somewhere else that are being allowed to potentially coach their teams, not just in the conference championship weekend, but also into the playoff. So there's a little truth on both sides of this. And the only thing I'd say that is not probably being talked about enough is Charlie Weiss Jr. fought to go back to coach, because he's the only coach going back who went with Lane to LSU to coach to the playoffs. Pete Golding, Keith Carter knew they needed someone on the offensive side of the ball to call plays because they had no one. I guess it was going to be Joe Judge, if not for Charlie Weiss Jr. And he fought for the opportunity to go back there and coach those kids. Whereas if not, they would have been in a world of hurt, I think, going into this playoff.
I just wonder what's the backstory of trying to figure it all out. If they didn't want, if it's as cut and dry as, okay, Lane, you choose somewhere else, you're not coaching there, okay, you're not coaching here. Now Ole Miss has to figure out what they do. And you guys have made it clear that it isn't going to impact how they're looked at and how they're viewed in terms of the college playoffs. So if none of those things are impacted and affected, what does it matter? Like, I don't really care if the AD or if Lane Kiffin, Lane is gone, he's not coaching. We got that conclusion. Beyond that, I feel like that's like gossip. I don't understand what's the main purpose of trying to establish if Lane was going to be able to coach or not. That's what I mean, that's my initial thought to it. Like, at this point, I'm more interested in the fact that he was sliding in DMs more so than.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, that's not as clear cut. I mean, that's not as clear. Clear cut is if you choose another school, you're not coaching here. He chose another school. He's leaving. He's not coaching them in the playoff. What's next?
Well, I think it's the
do we expect Ole Miss to be a real player? If they do, which we assume, I assume they're going to make the playoff. Do we expect them to be a major player in the playoff?
I am interested to see how they perform.
Like, if they go out in the first round, if they go out in the first round, does that make Lane Kiffin a more I don't like him figure? Does their performances have any bearing on how we view Lane Kiffin?
Yeah, he's still getting paid the more they win. LSU's paying him for every win they make at the playoffs.
That's wonderful.
So he's rooting for him. Trust me.
I'm sure he is, but I'm saying generally speaking, general public, is there going to be like this visceral effect to them losing in the first round of the playoffs?
I don't think so, because again, he wanted to coach them. Keith Carter's the one that's not letting him.
Yeah, I just feel like we've gotten to that point, and we know that. So if they keep winning,
here's the other thing I'd say too is
okay.
They actually have a really, really good chance as they currently sit at the 6th seed. I mean, if you look at how this whole thing could shape out or shape up, they would probably play the conference champ number 4, which is potentially UVA, or if they were to beat Duke, or it'd be either that scenario that I just painted out to you, Tulane or JMU. So that would be their first game. And then as it currently stands, it'd probably be Georgia after that. Now, it's going to change a little bit. It could be Indiana. Indiana's currently sitting at the number 2 spot. If they lose to Ohio State, I don't know if it's going to drop much more than 3. So Ole Miss could be playing UVA or a group of 6 conference champion JMU or Tulane, and then they'd have to play Indiana, which, if you're being honest with yourselves, between these 4 teams, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas Tech, and Indiana, who would you rather play?
Indiana.
Yeah. Like, that's probably the team you're saying probably have the best chance against. If I was an odds maker, I'd say that would be the best spread line against any of those 4 teams for Ole Miss.
Unless Indiana spanks Ohio State. And then I change my mind.
Then Ohio State drops, and then you're playing the Buckeyes. And,
and you don't want that one.
On your soul.
You don't want that one.
Lord, belt to ass.
Yeah, you don't want that.
But you get my point. Is like, it's kind of wild. Like, this is a team that ultimately could make it to the semifinals because of their current seeding right now.
Well, we were a benefactor to that last year. Well,
it just
yeah, that is kind of true.
Yeah.
It feels like it's we talked a little bit about this with Petros yesterday, but it feels like this is the same ending to virtually every place that Lane Kiffin goes. Like, it never ends smoothly. There's always something attached to it, whether it was, Tennessee, USC, the Raiders. It just, like, there's always something.
In what way? Like, explain it. Like the tarmac and all that stuff. Like, in what way?
It's never a clean exit. It's never an exit with, I don't know, grace, for lack of a better term. There's always something else there. There's always more to it. There's always a he said. Like, when he left Tennessee, he clowned him and trolled him afterwards. The USC tarmac stuff, the stuff with it just feels like there's always it's never squeaky clean. It always gets out and gets a little bit messy. And when you hear the more, players are coming out saying, well, you told us something different in the meeting, the DMs, the AD, the back and forth, it just feels like the more that stuff comes out, the less possible it was for him to stick around there. Like, I wonder if Keith Carter kind of recognized, listen, man, he's leaving. Like, and this whole thing is wrapping up quickly. And we talked about it on Monday. that Lane Kiffin probably realized, I've reached my ceiling here. I can get something better elsewhere, and I think Ole Miss probably sensed that, and this is the way this was always going to end up.
Well, I mean, that's the season was a successful season record-wise, and that gave him leverage. And for what it's worth, for everything that you just said, if people weren't moved by Lane Kiffin wouldn't have had all these opportunities for it to end the way that it ends. Keep that in mind. He doesn't have to get hired from place to place.
So he makes a move.
Well, I think people that look at Lane Kiffin feel as though he moves the needle. From the way he is, all the things you're explaining, the way he looks, his lineage, what he's connected to, he's a part of the game. He's a grandfather then. He's a child of the game. He has a legendary coach as a father. So I just think that he's an intriguing person. He does things the way that he does them. He does it in a way where it's entertaining when you watch him, because you're looking at him and you're like, what is he going to say? I don't know that you ever, when you see him standing in front of the camera, what is he going to do? What is he going to say? And he knows it. He's aware of it. Not a dumb man at all. I've been around him. Not a bestie, but I've been around him. I've listened to him. He's just a thoughtful dude. But
better not call him a hoe.
Well, he's in his head though. He just seems like he's like a real cerebral dude. Like kind of weird. But so what? Most brilliant people are weird. And while I'm not saying he's brilliant, and for what he's been able to accomplish and what he's been able to do, and we're talking about him, and he just stroked a really, really, really lucrative deal to coach, these things keep coming his way.
Would you say he's touched?
Yeah, he's touched. A little bit. He's touched a little bit. But he's successful. And when you're successful, you tend to be able to kind of elude what goes along with some of these stories. You connect some of these stories to someone who isn't being successful, look at what the conclusion is. They disappear. Lane Kiffin ain't went nowhere. Listen to the names you said. USC, Tennessee, Ole Miss, now LSU, the Raiders. Like, bro, you're not getting all those jobs. You know how hard it is to get a job out the gate? Like one job, one of those names? Like this dude's he's making stop by stop. LSU probably ain't even his last stop.
No, probably not.
Right, so like let that man live. Go ahead, Lane.
Also,
pimp him, Lane.
Get
that cash.
To just like, he was there, 6 years at Ole Miss? Eventually, wouldn't you say sometimes guys just have a propensity to want to move on? Like they're just never going to stay anywhere long. He seems like he's like that in his personal life. He seems like he's like that in his professional life. He's just not one of those guys that you can expect to be there for a long time. And by the way, I don't know that many coaches are going to be coaching at some of these places for a really long time. I think that's pretty rare. Usually fan bases get fickle. They get upset about things. I mean, Kirk Ferentz been in Iowa for as long as he has is a rarity. I don't think you'll ever see that ever again.
It's going to be hard with the landscape the way that it is. It's not feasible to think unless there's a model that's created or a standard that somebody's able to create, starting with leadership. There's so many different elements at play. You got school boards, you got school presidents or chancellors or head of schools, whatever. You got all these different decision-making people and bodies and what takes place and ADs and now what is the coach doing, and this coach gets pulled away by another school, and it's just so many moving parts anymore. And at the end of the day, the fans are fickle for all of the programs. Like, it's not unique to one program. They're fickle for every program. And they want to see a winner. And they want to see it the way that they want to see it. Once noise starts, then the noise grows, then there's going to be action taken. It used to be a time where coaches could control the narratives that were coming from the program. AD stayed out of the way. You didn't even hear anything from the school who's governing the school. Just don't let your kids do anything that brings any type of bad media, ill will or anything towards the school. But people stayed out of the way. This year you got freaking senators, governor? Was it the governor in LSU? Who was? You got
The governor.
You got Congress. You got politicians getting involved in what's going on now. So I just, it's never going to be the same. And I feel like the question becomes, in the new normal, how does that work? Can dynasties be built? Can you see long-lasting runs of success? Is it the same people that are doing it? And can this new era, new time in sports, is it something that people really can get behind from a genuine perspective, or is it all superficial? I mean, I think that's a tough one. That's a tough one because you go to a school, like you're an alumni here, or you played here, you're a letterman here, or you're raising your kids a certain type of way, but do you like the coach that's going to be there by the time your kids are heading to college? And, where is the school at? Culture-wise, it's just there's a lot of moving parts, man, and those parts can move from year to year, and it's so much more intense to win and be able to represent a university. I mean, James was one game away from a national title and is now at Virginia Tech. You know what I mean? Like, just times have changed, man. Times have really changed, and people got to embrace it, I guess.
They were the number 2 team this year till like week 5 or 6 of college football.
And now that man is at a different school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before
like
the conclusion of the season, he's at another school.
Yeah.
Before Penn State hired a guy.
Still.
Got his rod in the water and just reeling in recruits.
And good for him, as he should. As he should, man. Why are you looking at me like that?
Listen to what,
I would like to see us move forward, not watch everybody else moving forward, but it is what it is.